All right. So I want to talk about verbals, right? Verbals are fantastic little things that can do anything but be verbs. Okay, verbals are not verbs. They cannot be verbs. They cannot function in that way. Um, there are some similarities. For example, verbals. A type of verbal has a subject, true, though it looks different. And verbals overall have at least two of them. They have tense, right? That's sort of where it ends. Okay. So as far as types of verbals, we've got three types. We've got gerunds, we've got participles, and we have infinitives. Okay. See here, gerunds always act like nouns, and they always end in ing. Okay. So if you see a verb that ends in ing and acts like a noun, like for example, is the subject or something like running is fun. Okay. That's a gerund. Participles, they always function like adjectives, right? Gerunds always nouns, participles always adjectives, and they can end in ing in the present tense, but they can also end in ed. So, and sometimes it's tough to determine because a lot of, like, for example, you can confuse someone or you can be confused, right? So is confused like the past tense of confuse, or is it just sort of a state? Well, it doesn't really matter because, again, because participles act like adjectives, it's six in one, half a dozen in the other. So I don't want you to get hung up on that. Now, the participles have a third tense here that kind of combine that, like the ing and the ed. You've got the perfect tense, the present perfect tense. You've got having verbed, having known, having uh, participated. Okay. So you've got those three tenses there for participles that you'd want to be familiar with. I tell you, though, that most of the time you're going to recognize a participle because it ends in ing, or because it's got that having, which ends in ing, or look, that ed, the verb, that past tense participle is going to look like your run-of-the-mill adjective anyway. So you're not going to have a whole lot of time or a whole lot of trouble, excuse me, identifying those guys. All right, now infinitives. Okay, these kind of break from the pack there from the other two because there's a bit of versatility. Whereas gerunds can only act like nouns and participles can only act like adjectives, infinitives can act like nouns, adjectives, and even adverbs. Okay, so present tense, to verb, to run, to walk, to sleep. Okay, the perfect tense is simply to have verbed, to have run, to have walked, to have slept, to have written. Okay, and that's it. Now, some examples, right? Jesse likes running. Okay, so Jesse likes what? Jesse likes running. So running then is a verb that ing was added to, and it is acting like the direct object of likes. Okay, now compare that to I am thinking, right? Okay, I'm thinking. Thinking isn't a thing that now I've become, right? It's a state that I'm in. Okay, right now I'm thinking. Okay, I'm sitting as well, right? I might stand in a moment, so I'm not always sitting. I'm not always thinking, right? So we consider the thinking to be an adjective. That's why it's a participle. The confused boy wandered aimlessly. So the subject here is boy, right? And confused modifies boy, gives us more information about boy there. Having been beaten, John hung his head in shame. So having been, that ing, and then been beaten, right? John hung his head in shame. The infinitive, we've got I like to read. So in that case, to read is acting as the direct object. They're acting like a noun. We've got her attempt to dance, okay, was shameful. So in that case, we see, you know, to dance modifying attempt, you know, which attempt, right? Her attempt to dance. So that gives us more information about attempt. And then here we have he drove to the store to get milk. Now, to get milk is an infinitive, right? Infinitive phrase that tells us more information about, like, why. Why did he drive to the store to get milk? So in that case, it's acting like an adverb. So we see infinitives there in each of those cases. Now here I've got those examples parsed out. All right, we see exactly what I said there. The subject Jesse likes, transitive verb, direct object running. I am thinking. The subject linking verb, and then the predicate adjective thinking there. The confused boy wandered aimlessly. So you see that. And again, if this doesn't make a lot of sense to you, then check out those videos over sentences and over parsing. And again, kind of, this is what we'll be doing in class, right? So um, we've got having been beaten. Now, in this case, it's cool because having been beaten actually becomes a participial phrase, right? Because we have a predicate adjective there with having been. But all of that acts as a single unit to give us more information about John. Same thing happens here to get milk, right? Milk becomes the direct object of to get, the infinitive. Okay. But all of that acts as a single unit to give us more information about drove. All right. Well, there we are.